Imagine this. A new medication, a real breakthrough, approved after, years of rigorous clinical trials.
Yeah.
It's hailed as a miracle drug. It's now being used by millions. The system, well, it seems like it's worked perfectly.
Right, on the surface.
But then maybe months, sometimes even years later, these scattered, isolated reports start trickling in. A doctor here notices an unusual neurological symptom. A specialist there sees a rare liver condition.
Okay.
On their own, they look like isolated, tragic incidents. But what if they are connected?
What if there's a pattern?
Exactly. What if these seemingly unrelated events are actually faint signals, almost imperceptible, of a rare but devastating side effect?
The ghost in the machine.
That's it. The ghost in the machine of drug safety, the unforeseen harm that can pop up long after a drug's initial success. And the fundamental problem is that pre-market trials, for all their rigor, they just aren't designed, and frankly can't be designed, to catch these ultra-rare or, long-delayed adverse reactions.
And just can't. The numbers aren't there.
So how do we find that 1 in 100,000 signal before it becomes a widespread crisis? How do we even hear the whisper of that ghost?
Well, that's what today's deep dive is all about. It's about medicine's most powerful early warning system, the use of real-world data, or RWD.
RWD.
As of August 24th, 2025, RWD isn't just augmenting drug safety, it's revolutionizing it.
Revolutionizing? How so?
It's capable of detecting these really subtle safety signals with unprecedented speed and scale, long before they can cause significant widespread harm.
So it's proactive.
It truly moves us from, reacting to harm to actively anticipating it.
Okay. And our mission for you today is to unpack why RWD is so incredibly indispensable for proactive drug safety.
Right.
We're going to dive into the sophisticated detective work involved, reveal how this continuous vigilance forms a cornerstone of modern public health protection, and explore how it affects you.
Because it really does.
This isn't just about statistics. It's about the unseen systems that protect you every single day.
And to truly appreciate the power of RWD, we first need to understand the inherent limitations of our, let's say, traditional drug safety systems.
Okay.
We're talking about both the rigorous processes before a drug even hits the market and the systems in place once it's widely available.
Right. So let's delve into that. We rely so heavily on pre-market clinical trials, and, for good reason. They're the gold standard for proving a drug actually works.
Absolutely. For efficacy, yes.
But when it comes to catching those rare adverse drug reactions, they have some pretty clear limitations. Like, think about sample size. A large trial might enroll maybe 5,000 patients. That's powerful for common side effects, maybe 1 in 100 people.
You'll see those.
But what if a serious adverse reaction only occurs in, say, 1 in 20,000 people?
Yeah.
In a trial of 5,000, you are statistically very unlikely to see even a single case.
Exactly. 0 cases, most likely.
You'd need tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of participants to reliably detect something that rare, which is just, it's not feasible for a clinical trial's budget or timeline, is it?
No, not at all. It's a numbers game, fundamentally.
Yeah.
Clinical trials are designed to detect common to maybe moderately rare events.
Okay.
The infrastructure and the sheer cost to enroll, say, 100,000 patients and monitor them intensely, it would be astronomical, impractical for every new drug.
So even with all that upfront rigor, for these ultra-rare events, we're essentially flying blind at the start.
Pretty much, yeah.
Then there's the limited duration. Most trials only last, a few months, maybe a couple of years.
Right. Relatively short term.
That just isn't long enough to detect ADRs with long latency periods, those side effects that might take 5, 10, or even more years of continuous use to develop.
Correct. Chronic effects are often missed.
And finally, these are highly controlled environments. Patients in trials are a very selected group, generally healthier, fewer coexisting illnesses, fewer other medications.
The ideal patient, in a way.
Exactly. But in the real world, a rare ADR might only show up in, an 80-year-old patient with kidney disease who's also taking 10 other drugs.
A profile that would almost certainly be excluded from those initial trials.
Right. It's almost like they're looking for a ghost in a perfectly clean, empty room. It's not where the ghost is likely to be.
That's a good way to put it. And then, once a drug is on the market, our traditional backbone for safety has been spontaneous reporting systems.
Okay. What are those exactly?
Think like the FDA's FAIRS database in the U.S. or the U.K.'s Yellow Card scheme. These systems are vital, don't get me wrong.
Right.
They rely on vigilant doctors, pharmacists, even patients voluntarily reporting suspected side effects.
So we're talking about doctors or patients actively noticing something and then, taking the time to report it.
Precisely. And the most substantial issue there is underreporting. It's huge.
How huge?
It's estimated that over 90% of ADRs are never formally reported.
90%. Wow. Okay, that's not just a tip of the iceberg. That's barely a splash in the ocean.
It really is.
So how can we ever feel truly confident about a drug's safety based on those systems alone if we're missing that much information?
Well, that's precisely where the crucial statistical point of lacking denominator data bites us.
Denominator data, meaning?
These reports give us the numerator, the number of suspected reactions, but they don't tell us the denominator, the total number of people who took the drug without any issues.
Ah, okay. The total population exposed.
Exactly. If you have 100 reports of a side effect, it makes a huge difference whether that's out of 10,000 users or 10 million users.
Completely changes the risk picture.
Totally. We also grapple with causality challenges. These are suspected associations, not definitive proof the drug caused the event. That takes immense investigative work.
Right. Correlation isn't causation.
Precisely. And finally, there's reporting bias. Media attention or public awareness can cause spikes in reports for new drugs, while older, widely used drugs might have severely underreported side effects just because they're, well, no longer newsworthy.
Okay. So, summing that part up. Clinical trials and spontaneous reporting, they're essential pieces of the puzzle.
Absolutely necessary.
But they often alert us to rare problems only after they've grown large enough to be noticed through these various filters and delays.
Yes, they're more reactive in that sense.
We clearly need something more proactive, more sensitive, something that can actively hunt the ghost rather than just wait for it to, knock something over.
And that brings us back to RWD.
This is where real-world data systems truly shine, right? Moving beyond waiting for reports to actively scanning vast amounts of health data.
Exactly. It's a huge fundamental shift in how we approach safety.
If our old ways are like looking through a keyhole, RWD sounds like it's giving us a wide-angle lens, or maybe even satellite imagery.
That's a perfect analogy. The innovation here lies in the sheer scale. RWD platforms don't deal with thousands of patients. They can include data from tens of millions of lives.
Tens of millions.
Think about large electronic health record networks, national claims databases, integrated delivery networks. This provides the statistical power to observe events that are simply invisible in smaller data sets.
Okay, so back to that rare event example.
Yeah, let's revisit that 1 in 20,000 adverse event. In a clinical trial of 5,000, you'd likely see 0 cases.
Right, we established that.
But in a real-world database of, say, 10 million patients who use the drug, that same event is no longer a statistical ghost. It's potentially 500 observable cases.
500. Okay, that's a signal you can't ignore.
It suddenly has a face, a shape, something that can be detected and acted upon.
So the ghost that was invisible in a trial suddenly becomes, undeniably clear in this vast sea of data. That's incredibly powerful.
It really is.
And here's where the impact truly shines, I think. RWD captures data from the full, messy spectrum of real-world patients.
Exactly. The complexity of real life.
We're talking about the elderly, those with multiple coexisting illnesses, patients on complex regimens with many different medications, diverse demographic groups, all the people often excluded from trials.
All included.
This real-world heterogeneity is critical because many rare adverse drug reactions aren't random. They occur in specific subgroups.
Right. They have risk factors.
For instance, maybe a rare skin reaction only appears in patients with a specific genetic marker, or a type of kidney injury only manifests in those taking a new drug alongside an older medication.
Yes.
RWD helps us identify these nuanced patterns and pinpoint exactly which specific subgroups are at higher risk. It's almost like RWD lets us go beyond an average patient to understanding your specific patient profile when it comes to risk.
And that level of granularity is a game changer for patient care and, frankly, for refining how drugs are used.
Okay.
Furthermore, many RWD sources track patients over many years. This longitudinal view gives us a crucial time machine perspective, especially for detecting those delayed ADRs.
The ones that trials miss because they're too short.
Precisely. We can use RWD to look at a cohort of patients who started a particular drug 10 years ago and compare their long-term health outcomes, say, the incidence of certain cancers or neurological conditions, to a carefully matched group of patients who didn't take the drug.
Controlling for other factors, presumably.
Oh, absolutely. With sophisticated statistical adjustments. This is our best tool for understanding the long-term safety profile of medications, particularly those intended for chronic use.
So for drugs people take for years, sometimes for the rest of their lives, RWD is really the only way to truly understand their full long-term story.
In many ways, yes. Traditional methods just can't provide that long-term perspective effectively.
And unlike an active clinical study that requires, immense effort to enroll and follow patients.
Yeah, very resource-intensive.
RWD is generated as a byproduct of routine clinical care. This creates a continuous, always-on stream of information.
It's passive data collection, in essence.
This passive and continuous data collection makes RWD ideal for ongoing perpetual vigilance. As soon as a new drug is launched, its journey starts being recorded in RWD.
Safety monitoring can start from day one.
Exactly. Imagine an automated AI monitoring a network of 20 million electronic health records, programmed to flag a statistically significant increase in a specific diagnosis, like a rare blood disorder, among new users of a drug compared to similar patients on other medications.
That's the core idea.
That's the essence of a proactive early warning system, isn't it? It's like having an army of digital detectives silently sifting through information 24/7.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
But finding these needle-in-a-haystack signals within massive RWD datasets requires sophisticated analytical and epidemiological methods.
Right, it's not just having the data.
No. It's about asking the right questions in the right way and deploying the right tools to actually hunt the ghost effectively.
So with all this data available, how do we actually find these elusive ghosts? It sounds like a mix of different approaches.
It is. It's a blend of, let's say, cutting-edge tech and classic epidemiological detective work.
Okay, like what?
Well, sometimes we have a hunch, maybe based on biology or other drugs in the class. That's where targeted surveillance comes in.
Targeted. Okay.
If there's a prior suspicion, maybe other drugs in the class affect the liver. We can proactively monitor specific markers like liver enzyme levels and diagnoses of liver injury in all new users of a new drug in that class using RWD.
So you're looking for something specific from the start, setting a trap for the ghost, almost.
Exactly. We don't wait for it to appear randomly. We actively monitor for it. Then there's disproportionality analysis.
Sounds typical.
It's similar to what's used in spontaneous reporting, but applied to RWD. It looks for unexpected associations. Think of it like a Geiger counter for adverse events.
Okay.
It identifies events that occur significantly more frequently with a specific drug compared to the background rates in the general population or in users of other drugs. It highlights unexpected spikes.
So it flags things that look out of proportion.
Precisely. It's an efficient way to spot potential signals in a vast data set without a specific prior hypothesis for every possible outcome.
Got it. And you mentioned cohort studies.
Yes, they're a real workhorse of pharmacoepidemiology, especially for looking forward in time.
How do they work with RWD?
Using RWD, we identify a large group of patients who started a specific drug that's our exposed cohort. Then we find a carefully matched group who didn't take it the unexposed.
Matched on what? Age? Other conditions?
Exactly. Age, sex, baseline health status, other medications, lots of factors using methods like propensity score matching. Then we follow both groups forward in the data to compare adverse event rates.
Okay, the ultimate long-term observation. Who took it, who didn't, and what happened next.
That's the essence of it. But for very rare events, trying to find enough cases in a forward-looking cohort like that might take decades.
Right, if it's 1 in a million.
Exactly. That's where case control studies are clever. We flip the problem.
Flip it how?
We work backward. We identify all patients within the RWD who did have the rare event. Those are our cases.
Okay.
Then we select a comparable group of patients who did not have the event, our controls. We look back in their data history to see if exposure to the drug in question was more common among the cases than the controls.
Ah, so you start with the outcome and look back for the exposure. Clever.
When the ghost is really rare, sometimes you have to start with its trace and work backward. It's incredibly efficient for uncovering subtle links.
So targeted surveillance, disproportionality, cohort studies, case control, that covers a lot.
Those are the traditional epidemiological approaches, very robust. But the sheer volume and complexity of RWD mean we can also tap into something newer.
Which is?
Machine learning and AI. This area is rapidly transforming the landscape.
AI in drug safety, how does that work?
These algorithms can sift through massive RWD datasets to detect complex patterns and subtle signals that traditional methods might miss.
Like what kind of patterns?
They can analyze hundreds, even thousands, of variables simultaneously to identify complex risk profiles or very early warning signs, things that might involve interactions between multiple drugs and patient characteristics.
Stuff a human analyst might never spot.
Potentially, yes. Or they can spot them much faster. They often generate new hypotheses that traditional epidemiology can then investigate more deeply. It's not just about crunching numbers. These algorithms act like super detectives, spotting connections that are hard for us to see.
Okay, that suite of tools sounds really powerful. Is it actually making a difference? Can we see the impact?
Oh, absolutely. The impact of this RWD-driven surveillance is truly tangible. It's protecting countless patients, often without them even knowing it.
It's moving us into a new era of proactive public health, it sounds like.
Exactly. Think about, say, certain classes of diabetes medications. Before RWD, understanding their full cardiovascular risk profile could take a decade or more, waiting for large outcome trials.
Right.
With RWD, we've drastically cut that time, clarifying their risk profiles much faster, which led to updated guidelines.
And that prevents heart attacks, strokes.
Potentially thousands of cardiovascular events, yes, simply by seeing patterns faster and adjusting practice. RWD has also been instrumental in identifying rare neurological or psychiatric side effects associated with specific medications that just weren't seen in pre-market trials.
Because the trials were too small or too short, or the patients weren't complex enough.
All of the above.
Uh-huh.
And it's helped refine prescribing guidelines for things like anticoagulants, blood thinners. RWD helped pinpoint exactly which patient subgroups are at the highest risk of bleeding complications in real-world settings.
Allowing doctors to make safer choices for their individual patients.
Precisely. Tailoring the treatment based on real-world risk profiles.
And these aren't just, academic findings published in journals.
Not at all. These findings directly contribute to crucial regulatory actions.
Like what?
We're talking about strengthening warnings on drug labels, issuing safety communications directly to doctors and pharmacists, implementing sophisticated risk mitigation strategies, sometimes called RAMS programs. All of this ensures that the benefits of using a medication continue to outweigh its risks, safeguarding public health and, frankly, saving lives.
It sounds incredibly powerful, but does this digital surveillance also come with its own set of problems? It can't be perfect, right?
No, absolutely not. Despite its undeniable power, RWD for rare ADR detection is a complex science with ongoing challenges. It's not a magic bullet.
So are we perhaps seeing too many ghosts now, making it harder to tell a true threat from just statistical noise? Or maybe there's a risk of overregulation from flagging minor issues.
Those are critical questions, and the field grapples with them constantly. The biggest hurdle, truly, is bias and confounding.
Bias and confounding. Okay, break that down.
Because RWD is observational, we're watching what happens, not controlling it. Like in a trial, we constantly wrestle with confounding factors.
Factors that muddy the waters.
Exactly. For example, did the drug cause the adverse event? Or were the patients prescribed it already sicker to begin with and therefore more prone to the event, regardless of the drug?
Ah, that's called confounding by indication, right?
Precisely. It's like trying to figure out if the umbrella caused the rain or if people just carried umbrellas because it was raining.
Okay, good analogy.
Untangling these complexities requires really sophisticated statistical methods, and it's a major focus of research.
What else?
Another big challenge is data quality and completeness. The old mantra, garbage in, garbage out, is critical here.
If the raw data isn't good,
the results won't be reliable. Missing data, coding errors in medical records, or just a lack of granular clinical detail in EHRs and claims data. All of this can either obscure genuine signals or, worse, create false ones.
False alarms.
Right. We also must always remember the distinction between causality versus association. RWD excels at finding statistical association patterns. But definitively proving that a drug caused a specific event often requires a convergence of evidence.
So RWD might raise the flag, but you need more proof.
Often, yes. Biological plausibility, maybe other studies, sometimes dedicated follow-up studies. It's about building a case.
Makes sense. Any other major hurdles?
Interoperability and access remain significant barriers. Health data is often fragmented across different systems that don't talk to each other.
Silos.
Exactly. That makes it difficult to conduct large-scale, comprehensive safety analyses across an entire population. And finally, Privacy concerns are paramount.
Huge issue, obviously.
Absolutely non-negotiable. We need robust de-identification techniques, secure data environments, and really strong governance to maintain public trust. People need to know their data is being used safely and ethically.
Okay, so a lot of challenges still. What does the path forward look like? How do we make this even better?
Well, we're clearly moving towards greater data standardization and interoperability across health systems, making it easier to connect those disparate data points seamlessly.
Breaking down the silos.
Hopefully. Advanced AI integration will also continue to improve our ability to analyze complex data and detect those subtle signals, acting like even more powerful ghost hunting tools.
Smarter algorithms.
Yes, and perhaps most importantly, global collaboration. Regulatory agencies and researchers sharing data, sharing signals across borders. That creates an even more powerful and responsive worldwide pharmacovigilance network.
A truly interconnected global safety net.
That's the goal.
Okay, let's try to wrap this up. The journey of a medication's safety doesn't end with its approval. That's clear.
Not even close. It's just the beginning in many ways.
It's a continuous, dynamic process of vigilance, and real-world data has become, it seems, our most powerful tool for that.
Definitely our most powerful new tool.
Providing the scale, the real-world context, the long-term view, everything needed to act as a true early warning system, detecting those rare ghost-in-the-machine side effects that were once, well, pretty much invisible.
It fundamentally shifts drug safety from primarily an oversight function to a continuous, intelligent prediction and monitoring system.
And this continuous monitoring, powered by data and these sophisticated analytics, it's a cornerstone of modern patient safety.
And absolutely fundamental to maintaining public trust in the medicines we all rely on.
But here's where it gets really interesting for you, the listener. This system, for all its sophistication, all the AI and big data, it still relies on everyone.
The human element remains critical.
It reminds us that even with all this advanced tech, your observations are still a vital part of this safety net.
Absolutely.
So if you ever experience a new or unexpected symptom after starting a medication, talk to your doctor or pharmacist. Don't just ignore it.
Please don't. They're the first line in this entire surveillance system.
And in many countries, you can also report suspected adverse drug reactions directly to regulatory bodies, like the FDA's MedWatch program in the US.
The Yellow Card scheme in the UK.
Or similar programs wherever you are. Your single report, something that might seem like a small, isolated incident to you, could be the crucial first clue, the first flicker of that ghost that helps protect thousands, maybe millions of others. It transforms a potential ghost into a clear, actionable signal.
Exactly. Yeah. This isn't just about big data. It's about collective vigilance. It's about all of us working together to ensure a safer, data-driven future in health.